WTIM mobile app at the Apple Store or Google Play.
Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome into the WTIM information station. My name is Tim Zalabak. Time now for the WTIM morning show. Thank you so much to our live stream sponsors, People's Bank and Trust and Landmark of Taylorville. You can tune in on YouTube and Facebook live there on the WTIM morning show. Now I got Lisa Peterson. She's a nutrition and wellness educator for the University of Illinois Extension. Lisa, good to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course. And of course, it's summertime, and you're always coming in here telling me what national day it is. What's the day today?
Today is National Watermelon Day.
Amazing.
Which is perfect for August. Yeah. So as we're still in that hot weather, that we always say watermelon is one, great for hydration. It's 92% water. So I always think of during the summertime, we get a lot more fruits and vegetables in, which is, you notice, a lot less people get sick because we get a lot more. That's what we say. We think that because you're eating a lot more vitamins and minerals and you're a little bit more active as well. So you're able to prevent some of these illnesses that we tend to get in the winter. So yeah, it's exciting. Watermelon is a great and very nutritious fruit. It's low in calories. It's only got about 92 calories and about 1 2/3 cup serving. It's very, very nutritious. And we always say the brighter the colors, the more nutrition it has. So that's why we're not kidding when we say eat the rainbow.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, very high in a nutrient called lycopene, which is one of our antioxidants, which is very good for our body. So again, it'll help fight illnesses. It's got high in vitamin A, vitamin C, and potassium as well. So if you're looking for a fruit right now and it's in season, which means it's usually less expensive, that's the one to go to, especially today as we celebrate Watermelon Day.
Absolutely. Get yourself some watermelon today. And I got a big bag of watermelon in my fridge right now. Yeah. The only problem I have is cutting a watermelon. It takes me too long, and I don't know how to do it. I mean, what's the proper way for cutting a watermelon?
That's a good question. And there's a couple different ways to do it. I'm like, we always say cut it in half. And then what I'll do is I actually quarter it, and then I'll cut the slices. So you actually cut them. It's hard to describe, but you cut them you slice within that center part, and then you slice both ways. You go diagonal and you go horizontal, and then you can dump it out. So that's probably the easiest way. I have some people who cut them, they cut them in half, and then they cut them where they can pull out the sticks. So that's another way to do it. But yeah, I definitely think I do the quarter and more, just it's easier, and then you can store it. So
totally.
Yeah.
You mentioned less illness during the summertime. That could be for a couple of different reasons. That's really cool to think about, though. Mm-hmm. Probably consuming more fruit, definitely being more active. Yeah, that's a cool thing. Tell me a little bit more.
Yeah. So again, watermelon's one of those that's high in vitamin C, vitamin A, and potassium. Those are all big nutrients that we definitely need in our body. It keeps us healthy. But yeah, more fruits and vegetables. That's one thing Americans really, really struggle with, especially the vegetable side. It's a very high statistic of people who do not get the recommended amount of fruits and vegetables per day. And trying to figure out, how do we sneak it in? How do we get it in? And a lot of it is preparation. A lot of people don't want to take, we always say when they give a kid an apple, and they don't know what to do with it. They don't know, they bite into it. Can they cut into it? Just depends how you prepare it. So I joke a lot of times in my classes, make your refrigerator look like a convenience store. So you're more likely to grab that fruit and vegetables. And they forget about canned or the individual servings are great ways to sneak in fruit. I always think of mandarin oranges. They sell them in those little mini ones. Just try to find the ones that are not in light syrup, that are in 100% juice. Mainly because that light syrup is sugar. So we already have sweet fruit. We don't need to be adding more sugar to our fruit. So trying to find the ones that are, again, on 100% juice, because we know you're not having more added sugar in there. So applesauce is one that we're really big on right now. We have a lot of people hiking and doing things like that. That is a great snack for hiking, because if you buy them in the grocery store, you'll notice they're not in a cooler. So that's a great one to take with you when you're traveling. There's usually, you can buy little snack packs of them. They sometimes are fortified with other nutrients. I have some in my fridge right now that have omega-3s fortified into them, which is great for your heart health. But yeah, so that's one thing, is finding ways to get more fruits and vegetables into your diet, but trying to make it more appealing to you and make it easier for you. So either individually wrapping them or making it easy grab and go.
Yeah, absolutely. Those little cups of fruit, I always get worried about them. These have to be filled with sugar or something. But there are options out there with just straight fruit juice that you want to look for those, because I'm sure you're doing just adverse effects when you're taking
Yeah.
those high sugar.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I mean, that's the one thing we always talk about. We go in the grocery store and we see all the watermelon sitting out. And watermelon, as long as it is not cut into, consider room temperature. And typically we'll tell you a watermelon lasts about 7 to 10 days as it's sitting. And that's fine. You leave it at room temperature. There is some limited research that shows that leaving it at room temperature actually retains more nutrients than putting it in the refrigerator. But it's still pretty limited on the research on that. But again, if you cut into it, you store it in the fridge just because you're now letting oxygen in, and that could make you sick from it sitting out at room temperature. But yeah, one thing we tell you when you're picking out a watermelon, you look, you lift, you turn. So you're going to look it over, make sure it's firm, free of bruises, no cuts, things like that. You're going to lift it up. Watermelon should be very heavy for its size, and then turn it over. And that's our little hack. When you're looking at watermelons in those big bins, try to find one that has a bright orange spot on the bottom. That's the place it's been sitting, usually where it's ripening in the sun. If it's got a nice golden circle near the bottom of it or on it somewhere, that's a sign it's a very ripe melon. So it's a sweeter melon. So that's one thing. It's kind of a little hack when you go in a grocery store and look at watermelons.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So the very green ones still need a little bit more time before you cut into them?
They could be green, but they'll still have a little spot on the bottom that's they'll have like a golden color because that's where it's been sitting on the ground. So you do want a bright green one, but yeah, make sure on the bottom it's got that little orange like sun sitting on it.
Cool. All right, LLT, look, lift, and turn.
Yeah, look, lift, and
It's a good
turn.
thing to remember in the grocery store. I got a weird question about watermelons for you. I had a watermelon sitting on my countertop one time, left it there for maybe 24 hours, came back, and there was a giant pool of water just surrounding the uncut watermelon. What could that have been?
It could have been the humidity in there too, depending on your kitchen, how it was sitting. So it might have been a warmer environment and the watermelon didn't adjust very well to it. And that may make it go bad faster because you're losing a bunch of water. It's the only thing I can really think that might have happened. 'Cause it's happened to me before too, where it sits or it's really ripe. And by the time that you get to it in that 24 hours, it's already sweating it out. So yeah, pay attention to that.
It was more water than you could imagine. I mean, those watermelons just they're absolutely stocked full with H2O. That's amazing. Okay, cool. I got my answer to that question. That's all I needed for this. That's great. But in the past couple of weeks, you've had a cool class coming up. You got one coming up too. Let's hit on the class that's already happened, the freezer class. Tell me how that went.
Yeah, we just did a freezer and a slow cooker class, and the class was great. It's fun to always get people together to do some cooking. We actually made beef stew, which was a take-home meal. So it was we talked a lot about using a slow cooker. And one of the big things we hit on in that class is it's always a kind of a hot topic is chicken. Can I put frozen chicken in a slow cooker? And we do not recommend it. And we have a lot of people who do it. And the reason why is because that is a slow cooker. It takes a while for it to get to temperature, and chicken cannot sit at room temperature for more than 2 hours. So if you take it frozen, if you check it at 2 hours, it's not going to be at 165 where it needs to be. So that's why if you're using it raw, that's perfect. Throw it in that slow cooker. It's going to get up to temperature, but frozen will not. You're going to need to thaw it before you put it in there. We saw it with other meat too, but make sure with meat you thaw it out before you put it in a slow cooker. Pressure cooker is a whole other thing. That's going to temperature fast. So we don't worry.
That makes a lot of sense. There's a very, very logical answer to that. And, it's just so easy to throw in frozen chicken. You don't want to defrost your chicken. It takes a whole nother 12 hours.
Another day.
So no slow cooker for frozen chicken.
Yes.
That's a good thing to learn there. Anything else come out of the freezer class, or is that
that was one of our big ones we talked about. They made beef stew, and then we also made some bean and chicken burritos. And I always remind people how easy that is. You buy a whole box of it, or buy a pack of tortillas and wrap them up and throw them in your freezer, and they keep great. You just throw them in the oven or the air fryer for a couple minutes and they're good to go. Perfect. So yeah, it was a fun class, and hopefully a lot of people got a lot out of it, and we worked great with the hospital in doing so, and we look forward to the fall. In November we'll be doing an Instant Pot. It's more, that's the brand, but it's the pressure cooking class. Okay. So using those electric pressure cookers. And I tell people, I'm like, I've played with ours so many times. If it hasn't exploded on me, it's not going to explode on all my classes. So
the pressure cooker just sounds kind of
scares people.
Yeah, I'm sure. But coming up, you guys got a class on making some jam. That sounds delicious. What's that going to be about?
Yeah, so that is with Live Well Pana, which is Live Well Fitness Center in Pana. And we're going to be doing home canning 101. So this is for people who are looking at either they're very new to canning and they've never done it before, or they're looking for kind of a refresher. One thing we really emphasize within the university is we want to give you research-based information. And people forget canning is a science. So this class is really going to dive into general canning. So talking about what we pressure can, what we water bath can. And then we're going to really take a deep dive into jams and jellies. And we'll be making a blueberry spice jam as well as a peach jam, being that's in season. So yeah, and that'll be August 24th. And it's absolutely free. We just tell you to call the Wellness Center to sign up.
I love that. I love free programs there where you can
Yes.
go and learn a cool skill. You said it's a science.
Yes.
And I'm sure it can be. It's one maybe pressure gauge or whatever away from going bad. I didn't
Right.
explain that terribly, but like you said,
Yeah.
it's a science. Explain to me a little bit about
Yeah.
this.
Yep. So that science of it is with canning, it's if you do it wrong, that's our main concern. You could make botulism appear in there, and botulism is a deadly toxin. So if you are canning incorrectly, that is our biggest fear. We don't want to make you sick. We don't want other people to make them sick. So making sure we're using research-based recipes that are designed for canning. Our main concern is it's going to sit shelf stable. And so you're making something that typically is put in the fridge into sitting on a shelf. So we want to make sure that it's safe there sitting on the shelf. And we'll go through kind of the step-by-step. I always get a lot of myth busting in that class, things that we are used to doing that we shouldn't be doing anymore because the science has kind of evolved over time. Yeah.
Absolutely. Avoid botulism. We learned about that last time. That foodborne illness
Yes.
can sneak up on it. It's pretty nasty one there. We're going to take our first short little break here on the WTIM Morning Show. It's been great so far with Lisa Peterson, nutrition and wellness expert educator with the University of Illinois Extension. It's Watermelon Day, so I'll go out and have some watermelon. We'll be right back here on the WTIM Morning Show.
Your information station, WTIM.
Could you use some extra cash in your savings account? Then you need to sign up for the People's Bank and Trust Save by Spending Roundup program. I'm Lindsay Lopian from People's Bank and Trust. Simply use your debit card like you always do, and we'll round up your purchases to the next dollar. The extra change is then transferred to your savings account. There's never been an easier way to save. Call 888-PBT-1954 today to find out more. People's Bank and Trust. We put you and your savings first. People's Bank and Trust. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
If you're looking for the latest in local hunting and fishing information, then join us for Central Illinois Outdoors with me, Jared White, Saturday morning at 10, Sunday morning at 6 here on WTIM. Every weekend, we'll offer detailed Central Illinois fishing reports, and I'll invite you to share your favorite stories as well. Central Illinois Outdoors with me, Jared White, every weekend here on WTIM and on demand at centralillinoisoutdoors.com. Brought to you by Bob Ridings in Pana, the Clinton, Illinois Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Bureau, and Locked and Loaded in Pana.
I'm Brandon Bible, your local country financial representative at 1305 West Spresser in Taylorville. Stay tuned at the end of every tornado sports broadcast on WTIM's many platforms when the WTIM announcers select the WTIM Brandon Bible Country Financial Tornado Player of the Game from that particular game. The player will be spotlighted for their great play in the game and also be given a certificate honoring their accomplishment. My wife Sam and I are proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the WTIM Tornado Player of the Game this school year.
This is Pastor John Chris, Chapel Hill Church at 11 Clearing Avenue across from the airport in Taylorville, inviting you to a new sermon series on the book of Revelation and the end times. This series starts this Wednesday, August 2nd at 6 p.m. and continues every Wednesday night. Heaven and hell are real, and the Bible is our blueprint to inherit heaven. Prayer will also be available for evening for all types of afflictions. Please join us Wednesday evenings at 6 p.m. for our Book of Revelation sermon series at Chapel Hill Church across from the Taylorville Airport.
Now you can listen to WTIM on any Amazon Alexa-enabled device. There are 3 easy steps. Step 1.
Download the free Alexa app by going to the App Store on your mobile device.
Step 2. Enable our skill by going to the menu, select Skills, and then find WTIM News Talk. Open the skill.
Step 3. Activate the skill by saying, Alexa, play WTIM News Talk.
That's all there is to it.
And to stop the WTIM stream, just say, Alexa, stop.
WTIM News Talk now on the Amazon Alexa app.
Scott Primer here from Locust Grove Church near Assumption. We're spreading the good news of Christ in person and online. Come join our family or watch our video sermon podcast by clicking our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Micah Sally here, owner of Schaefer, Perfetti, and Asali Funeral Home, Taylorville's only locally owned and operated funeral home. We honor lives and celebrate memories. Find out all about the services we provide by clicking our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
welcome back to the WTIM Morning Show. My name is Tim Zalabak here. Thank you so much to our live stream sponsors, People's Bank and Trust and Landmark of Taylorville. I got Lisa Peterson in the office with me right now. I should say studio. She's the nutrition and wellness educator for the University of Illinois Extension. It is National Watermelon Day. We're going to keep going here on watermelon. This is truly a super fruit here. There's many things to talk about. And you mentioned we were talking about seeds of watermelon. And, if I eat a watermelon seed, am I dead? Do I have what's going to happen to me?
No. So watermelon seeds are actually a healthy snack, and people forget about them because they spit them out right away thinking, I cannot swallow that. They're very nutrient dense. They're really low in calories. About 1/8 of a cup has 4 grams of protein in it. So, which is a very high amount of protein for a seed. They're also only about 75 calories, and that's only at 1/8 of a cup. So that's very little, and you packs quite a bit of a punch there. If you're not, that's one great thing about them because they have so much protein. They're very similar to eggs. Like an egg has about 6 to 7 grams of protein. And again, that's 1/8 of a cup of watermelon seeds already has 4 grams of protein. So if you're trying to find different ways to get protein, that watermelon seeds are the way to go. And there's different ways you can eat them. A lot of people I recommend roasting them, much like a pumpkin seed. They have a nice crunch to them. They're great to be added to like a parfait, like if you're doing like a fruit parfait or if you're going to do yogurt. That's a great addition to it. The other thing with them too is they do have a good amount of magnesium to them, about 70 milligrams for 1/8 of a cup, which is helpful for our mineral as well. It's a mineral that's helpful for our muscle and our nerve functions as well. So that's one thing that people forget about with watermelon seeds. So, and a lot of people don't eat them, but it's a very unique way or unique seed to consume that you're trying to keep without not trying to waste any part of that fruit. That's a great thing to do. We can say with watermelon rinds, you can eat those too, but it's a little bit tougher. You might want to roast those.
Sure. I had no idea about the watermelon seeds like that. What a source of protein that is. I had no idea. I'm a big like sunflower seed enjoyer, but you'll get bogged down by the sodium and the additives in that. I mean, you talked about roasting them. I love the recipes you throw into people's minds, like in a parfait. And how do they taste? I mean, is there still a watermelon-y taste, or is it just very seedy?
They're more seedy, like they're kind of a crunchiness to them. And I've never tried it, but I'm sure you could add like some kind of seasoning to it. So add garlic and make them a little bit more savory. So I don't know what it tastes like, so I've never done it, but that'd be another addition too. Maybe roast them in a little bit of oil, maybe add just a teeny bit of salt to help bring out some of that flavor in there. But that's a great idea. They're also a good source of iron. So if you need to get iron in your diet, eating watermelon seeds is one way to do it. But that's kind of a fun thing for those who do still get the seeded watermelons. That is a fun way to use those seeds in there. Because there's a lot of seedless ones now out. But
explain seedless watermelons. Is that like a GMO type deal? How are they doing that?
That I am unsure on. But yeah, I know that's the ones I'm seeing a lot more on the market. It's the seedless ones, but there is still seeded out there. And a lot of our seedless still have some seeds to them. So it's just a different type of watermelon. But again, if you do buy them seeded and you're worried about, I can't swallow that seed, it's going to make me sick. That's not true. It's a good nutrition source. It's just more of a unique nutrition source.
Totally unique. Never even thought of watermelons in that way. I never thought twice before popping them. I'm sure it's a tedious process getting watermelon seeds together, enough for a meal. And is there no workaround there? You gotta pick them out with
probably. I don't know how it would be an easy way to do it. The only thing I can think is if you juiced your watermelon and you drank the juice, then you could get all seeds out real easy. But yeah, watermelon are great because of the multiple different ways we can eat them. We actually have quite a few recipes with an extension that use them in salads. So I have one that's like a jalapeno. It's got watermelon in it. It's got a little bit of mint in it. And it's more of like a salad that we've done with kids before in classes. Grilling watermelon. I have quite a few friends who do that. And that gives it more of a savory flavor. So it's that one you got to do a little quicker because it's water. But that one's kind of a more unique one too. And as we're still in watermelon season, a lot of people buy these big watermelons and they end up with a ton of it. So what do we do with it? But yeah, one way is definitely drinks. Throw it into your favorite drink. You could also freeze the cubes and throw them into like a lemonade. So that way, instead of doing ice cubes, you're using watermelon cubes. So
creative.
Yeah, that's kind of a fun way to do it as well. The rind could go into making a chutney or a slaw recipe. So again, it's kind of a no waste fruit, which is great. Yeah.
Using all parts of the hog for that one. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
And let's finish up here with some of the jelly problems. There's a jelly show, jelly project coming up for you, a class, I should say.
Yes.
And what are some of the causes and solutions?
Yeah.
Problems?
So since we're still in kind of that jelly and jam making season, I do get quite a few questions that come into our office or throughout the state will answer about issues they're having making jam or jelly. One of the big ones is bubbles. I actually had a phone call not too long ago asking me about bubbles and what are they? How do I get them out? It's what it is it's air trapped in your hot jelly. The way we get it out is we remove foam from the top of our jams and jellies before we fill the jars. And that's one thing, even in classes, I've done quite a bit of jam this year. And they're like, do I really have to take all that out? And we're like, yes, please do that. Otherwise, you do one quick hack to that is adding about 1/4 of a teaspoon of butter or margarine, and that cuts down.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Lisa, we're just about out of time. Can you really quickly name off where people can go for this information?
Yes, this class is Let's Make Jam home canning. It's going to be August 24th from 10 to noon at the Live Well Fitness Center in Pana, and call the Live Well Fitness Center to sign up.
Beautiful. Lisa, thank you so much for being on with us today.
You're welcome.
That was Lisa Peterson. She's with the University of Extension Office with Nutrition and Wellness Educator. This was the WTIM Morning Show. As we wait for our SRN news to play here, more WTIM Morning Show on the way here in just a little bit.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. Saying he cannot get a fair trial in Washington, D.C., former President Trump wants a change of venue for his trial on conspiracy and obstruction charges. The former president due in court in D.C. later today to answer the charges he faces for challenging the outcome of the 2020 election.